Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It is the Boss Rush After Dark alternative podcast for the Boss Rush Network. I am back, your host, LeRon Dawkins, and of course, my friends, my compatriots, my cohorts, my confidants, my lifeline sometimes. Stephanie Klimov and Corey Dirick are back. Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey.
Hello.
I know I sound.
Going.
Yeah, it's going. I know I sound a little different tonight. Like, I mean, I'm coming down from what I can only describe as extreme exhaustion. How about you guys?
Yes, exactly that. Like, I'm just constantly, I feel like I'm burning the candle at both ends, and it's just like I'm crawling at the finish line, but someone keeps dragging the finish line farther away from me.
You still have a candle that you're burning. That's nice.
It's cute. It's cute. Yeah.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's been going on with me lately. I've just been tired, and I'm trying to figure out. Is it a change in seasons? Because it's officially spring here in Virginia now. Like we haven't had a day where it's in the 40 degrees since last Thursday. It's been 80-degree weather here and stuff like that. And I'm not sure if my body's just what the hell, it's the jet lag of that, because there have literally been some days where it's just if I haven't struggled to get out of bed in the morning, it's a struggle to stay awake, by 2 in the afternoon, stuff like that. And God,
Hey, we all come up with possible reasons. I mean, this is obviously me making it a joke, but people have been telling me that Mercury is or will be in retrograde. Who the fuck knows?
I still can't decipher that. I'm not the best with astrology and horoscopes and stuff like that. I know the tendencies of what a Gemini does, but that's about it,
Yeah, no, I don't know either. It's just that when people say it, apparently it's a wonky time whenever it goes retrograde. I'm like, okay, sure. My entire life is Mercury retrograde, so please.
Oh God, don't say that. Don't say that. It can't be that bad. Come on. It's got to be lollipops and puppy dogs every now and then.
You let me know when. Did I miss it? I missed the puppies.
I'm a hopeless optimist. Come on, I need some of that good energy to make it not so bad for me. Come on, guys.
You send us some of that positive vibes, please.
My friends and my boyfriend say this a lot. I have so much optimism that it stunts me from seeing what the hell is really going on around me. And you know what? I'm starting to believe it now.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah.
It's bad. For example, something somebody told me recently. Has honestly. I don't want to say it's been keeping me awake at night, but I was recently told by somebody, and after further reflection, I know they're getting to the point, they're stating an obvious point. In the business world, Black people have to hold themselves to a certain level to be taken seriously and be more successful and stuff like that. And it was pointed out to me that I could definitely be doing a little bit more. And it wasn't being told to me in a bad way, or not even in a racist way or whatnot. It's being told to me in a way that was hey, this is probably the reason why you aren't as successful as you think you are, and like that. And it's something that I've been unpacking for a couple of weeks since being told that, because I grew up in a decent lifestyle. I grew up in a military family and stuff like that. So I don't know what living in inner cities are like. I don't I've never been outwardly had racism hit me. Yeah, racist things have happened to me, but it's never been outwardly so. It's always been the veiled racism stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's not the stuff that we see on television and in the news and stuff like that. It's always the veiled stuff. So I don't know, I guess what was it? How's the song called? Semi-Charmed Life? I think that's what I grew up in, and it's kind of like a very harsh ice water to the face, for somebody that I'm turning 47 next month, you know, and I think I've been running around in life, like, yeah, I've been racially profiled by police before, it's happened, stuff like that, but it hasn't happened to the point where it affects me to the point where, I've been like unjustly incarcerated and things like that. And so, like, I guess I just run around like, like I run around like with this Teflon suit on, or like where I think stuff is not sticking to me and stuff like that. Like I have friends like black friends that are like you need to stop doing that. You're gonna get seriously in trouble. So yeah, like it all goes to like I don't know that optimism and stuff like that. I always feel like the grass is like the grass is always going to be greener on the other side and things like that because like if I get stuck in that muck of like everything's shit, like I'm going to be a different person.
Well, yeah, it's I was like that. My friends would best describe me more as an idealist, but I personally, it's like similar-ish. Optimist, idealist is a young kid and a teen. But I hate to say it nowadays, I don't know, life is just kind of just beat it out of me.
I know, yeah.
But I still strive, right? I fail a lot, but I strive to be the optimist that I once was because it's the way you described it too, LeRon. It's like if I don't, it's almost kind of like what do I have to live for?
Right, yeah, exactly. And you and Corey and y'all have kids and stuff. Y'all have something else like like you gotta. I know you guys have to put on this face, like to so it doesn't affect your family as well.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I have told like my therapist and a few confidants that if it weren't for my son, I don't know if I'd still be here.
Yeah.
So, but anyway.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Corey, you've been quiet.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like, I've been trying to, like, I've just been in a funk the last, I don't know, like month or so. And it's not like anything is wrong, right? Like, I mean, I have a great job. Like, I enjoy going to work. I love my job. I have a great family. I have great friends that I get to, hang out with every night and stuff. I don't know. I've been like overthinking a lot of things lately, and like my my dad was admitted to the hospital yesterday, and like he's okay. He came home today, but it was a scare, and like my cousin is really sick, and I think for some reason I've been thinking a lot about mortality, and things are going to start, I mean, I'm really thinking about like, oh, when my parents aren't going to be here, or my family or people I know are just going to be gone someday. And I've been thinking a lot about that, and like trying to do the best that I can for my family I've been anxious about that. I don't know. I've just had a lot of anxiety about things that I can't really control, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And if it's like one thing, I can usually blow it off. If it's another thing, plus like the stuff that we're doing with Boss Rush and like trying to keep up with the Patreon and the content has been a lot more work than I expected, I think. And I don't know, just a combination of all these things has given me a lot of anxiety to the point where like I'm not enjoying things that I should be enjoying, or just living life because I'm worried about this, or I'm trying to get this done, or I'm trying to do this for this person, or I'm trying to, and I've been really struggling with it lately, and I don't know, and I don't want to make it sound like I have like a terrible life. I don't. I have a great life, and that's why I'm so confused at why I'm so anxious and down lately. you know.
Can I just say it bothers me where we are at a point where we have to kind of preface or have a disclaimer of how we feel. Like, I recognize that, I have it pretty good, or my life is blessed and fine. I don't know, because I've had that too, where people just like, your life is a cakewalk, so shut up, people have it worse. I feel like we need to create an environment where it's okay for us to kind of offload how we feel, because I think 90% of us, we know that it could be worse, or there are worse situations out there.
Yeah.
But I honestly feel like we all have a right to feel the way we do. And if you feel overwhelmed, it's just as legitimate as anyone else's feeling of being overwhelmed.
Yeah,
And another side, yeah.
That's a word too, is overwhelmed. I feel overwhelmed with a lot of things too.
Well, us humans, we're really not built and meant to multitask, yet the society and culture we create today is we're always multitasking.
We have to multitask.
Do so many things, and I feel like it really fucks us up in the head a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, I mean, what you said, the fact that we have to, preface things of like, oh, life's not bad or whatever, like, that's why I always refrain from saying how I feel about things sometimes, is I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to be that guy, because I know technically it's not that bad, and you can push through it, and, somebody has it worse. Like, that's why I never say anything, and it took a really long time for me to start saying that, and my wife finally, like, kind of got me to do it, and I still have trouble doing it. It's just, I don't know. I'm struggling a little bit, but I just kind of keep telling myself it's okay. It's not going to last forever, but.
Are there any immediate light at the end of the tunnel things that you can kind of cling to, or do you feel like things are going to kind of be the same unless you do something?
I mean, see, I don't know. I mean, there are things that I'm worried about that I can control, like this stuff and work, and but then there's stuff that I can't control, like my parents being 70 and getting older, or my cousin having cancer, and we don't know what's going to happen there, and all these other things that I can't control that I still think about. Or, like, I don't know, yesterday I had a really terrible bout of anxiety about vacation, and what if we have a balcony when we go on vacation and my child falls off the balcony for no reason, right? Like, I think about those things constantly. And it's like, why am I thinking about that? She's at home, probably sitting on the floor, probably smearing peanut butter on the wall or something stupid, And I don't know. I'm just thinking about all these weird things. Like today, okay, here's a perfect example too. On the way home today, I panicked because I thought about the episode of Mad Men where the lawnmower runs over the guy's foot.
Oh.
And I had this really terrible panic moment about lawnmowers. And I was like, why am I thinking about that? I'm driving home from work after I just did all this stuff for work, and I'm thinking about this scene from a show from like 10 years ago.
It's funny you say something like that, because I every so often I wind up when I'm driving, I wind up getting into this headspace to where something's going to happen. And it's not even going to be a car accident. Something's going to happen to the point where I get hit by a car. Like I'm in a full stop and I get out of my car and I just get hit by a car. And not even hit by a car, but hit and crushed. Like, I can actually, there's something in my brain that I can visually see it. And it's so weird. It's so random. It's so irrational. And it's like, where does this come from? Like, I could be in an empty parking lot and I will get out. I will be in the car and I'm like, all of a sudden I just have this flash of getting hit by a vehicle.
I also feel, I mean, not that this is grounded in any confirmed science, but I feel like if we are already at a heightened state of anxiety, or just if we're already on the edge, I don't know. Everything else just seems so, how do I say it? Like just easily irritable, so to speak.
Yeah,
Like
it gets amplified.
The way I can make an analogy is, unfortunately, because maybe I'm in the medical field. Like, if you already have an irritated either mosquito bite or rash reaction or something, your body is flooding cytokines and all these like little chemicals that makes everything just more swollen, red, tender. That's what she said. But basically, it's just your body's trying to deal with healing itself from your current anxiety or thing that's bothering you. And I feel like other things can be easily inflamed in the process. I know for me, I have OCD. My OCD is at its worst when I am going through, if I'm worrying about something, because once I'm really anxious about something, I start freaking worrying about everything else. Like, did I leave the stove on at home while I'm out and I'm thinking that my house is burning down, even though like the odds of that are very slim and whatever. It's just like your mind goes to just some crazy places.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think about that too all the time. And like I know it's easier for me not to think about that now because my wife is home and she always checks that stuff too. But like when they're out when they're out and I leave, like, did I leave the garage door open? Did I leave my front door unlocked? Did I leave the toaster plugged in? Like is just it sucks thinking about all these things.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just like I need like a break or a vacation or just like a and like I know like I've felt it for a while. Even when we're doing shows and stuff, I have to like hype myself up. Even though I know I enjoy doing the podcast. Like I love it. Like I look forward to every Wednesday and every Monday and every Thursday and whenever else we're recording, right? Like I just the last month or so I've had to like put on a face and get into character and be excited about things that like I don't know, maybe I'm not excited about video games right now. And like which to be honest, I'm not excited about video games right now. Like I've been playing them, but like I'm not excited for anything. I'm still waiting for that next thing. Or like I've been wanting to finish up Moon Knight, right? And I just like, okay, well, like I'm not as into that series as everybody else, but like I should probably watch it because people are watching it. But like, am I really paying attention when I'm watching it? No. Like I'm. It's to the point where I'm struggling to pay attention to the things that I want to do, and that I don't want to do things that I used to love doing.
Well, it's definitely a big indicator of you needing to take some sort of a break.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, right?
It is, especially with like, we're trying to build a business out of this. I mean, I know we would do this for free, but like we're trying to build a business and come up with a business plan, and building a business takes a lot of work, especially when you don't really know what you're doing, like me. And maybe I have a lot of anxiety about that too. And like, it's, I maybe I do need a break, but I just, I don't know. It's like this big weight that I feel like I'm carrying, and I know I don't have to, but I still seem to be carrying it, I don't know. I'm just really struggling lately, and I don't really know how else to say it without rambling.
Well, I tell you what, before we like get into like how we try to deal with some of this anxiety and all this stuff, do us a favor real quick and shout out our patrons for the episode.
Yeah, Patreon. Remember, if you're a patron of the Boss Rush Network, wow, I just probably somebody was like, "Oh my gosh, what's wrong with you?" So, Boss Rush Network has a Patreon. Remember, all of our content is free, but if you would like After Dark 2 weeks early, Standard Definition 2 weeks early, or 1 week early access to the Boss Rush podcast and Nintendo Power Block Expansion Pass, you can do it for $1. But if you want to be a Patreon producer here on the Boss Rush Network, where we shout out your name on an episode of the podcast, as long as you're a $5 patron, you can do that. $5 producer tier. So, our producers for this episode are Quentin Jackson, Rebecca Jewell, Adriel Munger, and my wife, Sana Dierig. Thank you to our $5 patrons. We really appreciate you. We appreciate all of our listeners. Really. Thank you for making these shows possible.
Yep. So just remember, patreon.com/Boss Rush Network. Like, you get all the details about being a patron.
Yeah. But that's, see, I mean, I just did it there, right? Or like, I have to, like, I feel like I have to be like in character recently, where like, not that it, like, I feel like I have to get into a character to be on the shows, and I don't want to do that. I want to be natural and whatever, you know, and
it's kind of funny. I just, I thought of it as a potential topic for Boss Rush, or it could be for After Dark at some point, is if we have a podcast personality or a content creation personality, if that makes sense. But anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, yeah, I definitely do. You know, I definitely do. You know, I feel like I'm actually pretty boring outside of the podcast. I mean, maybe people think I'm boring on the podcast too. I don't know.
God, you should see this guy on Power Block.
Me?
Yeah, he's a different person when he's on Boss Rush.
How would you know? You don't listen.
I was on Monday night. What are you talking about? I was in y'all's DMs Monday night.
It's true. It's fair.
There is another level of Corey energy on Monday nights. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Somebody's got to keep up with Ed.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I can only just say that I can relate in certain ways where, like, certain passion for things, you know, it's like a roller coaster, right? Like, right now, I'm really not into gaming. I mean, I am from a distance, but not like into it in current. Like, I haven't, like, the last 2 weeks, I have literally nothing to report on what I've been playing. I know I'll eventually get super into it again, but just that my plate is so unbelievably fucking full that I just am bursting at the seams.
Isn't it crazy? You know, I was mentioning to my roommate tonight, because one of the places I feel like I don't like trimming content from Crossroads, for example, but I feel like we got rid of PlayStation, which basically was our version of Snacktendo, because it was taking up a lot of airtime. You know, and now it seems like what are we playing is now like the elephant in the room now, because I told my roommates I don't really have a problem with that portion of the show. The problem is like, how do people find time to play 7 fucking games in a week? And I can barely play Monster Hunter, the game I love.
I know. I see people like posting their like lists of games that they've beaten this year. Oh, this is game number 19 finished for the year. I'm like,
I haven't beaten one fucking game yet.
I finished Guardians of the Galaxy this year. That's the only game I've beaten this year. And I'm like, it took me like 4 months to beat that game.
I haven't beaten one fucking game this year. Not one. And I don't know if I'm going to beat one game this year.
And
we know if we force it on ourselves, it's not going to be fun.
Yeah,
exactly. And you know, it's not even that I'm not having fun, you know, playing video games. I have fun playing video games. Like you heard me earlier tonight. I hacked the fuck out of my Vita and my DS over the weekend. You know,
awesome.
I've been playing games. I just haven't been playing anything quality, if that makes sense. You know.
Yeah.
Plus,
if I feel like if I keep talking about the same game, it's not interesting after like 2 weeks, you know?
Yeah, that too.
That's why on Boss Rush, I didn't say what I was playing. Like, I don't know if you guys noticed that or not, but I just totally skipped over that.
No, we saw that.
I've been playing Super Mario 3D World, and I'm trying to collect all the green stars, and that's like my game right now. But I've been talking about it for almost 6 weeks at this point. And I'm like, well, you know, and like I fell off Xenoblade Chronicles. I just I'm just not in the mood. But this last week, like I've been looking for like comfort in games when I'm playing them, right?
Oh,
So
here's
I
here's something.
what?
Uh, Xbox and Bethesda Game Showcase, June 12th.
Yeah, we knew that. That was announced like a
We
week
did?
ago.
Oh, we did? Okay.
Yeah.
It's all right, LeRon. I didn't know that. Thank you.
I didn't know it either.
There's an article on bossrush.net, guys.
Wow.
I'll take your word for it.
Actually, I really don't know if there
like
is or not.
looks like I'm about to get slapped into the penalty box for bad behavior.
But
I check out the website at least once a day, at least.
I don't. I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry.
See, that's another one of those things. So I took a brief hiatus from the writing team again for my novel. Like my novel is, I mean, and keep in mind, I don't write every day because every night I have something, and with the kid and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel bad because I was really kind of, chugging along with the website. I'm like really into it. Now I'm almost kind of concerned, like, is it going to be difficult for me to like get back into it like I once was? Don't worry, David Lasby, I'm not leaving, but I'm just saying.
I mean, it's the same way with me. Like I was doing a whole bunch of news and stuff for the website, and then when I got this new job or whatever, I was like, I've been so not overwhelmed. I guess like just working a lot more and really focusing on nailing this new job because it's a big deal to me, right? And like getting these podcasts and stuff done. For me, the podcasts are the priority. Like it's I know some people don't like it when I say that, but the podcasts are the priority. And for Patreon and for the content we put out, that is, for me, that's the priority. And so I've had to pick and choose what I do. And sadly, the writing had to get cut for me. Not that I'm not going to return when I find time. It's just like I'm not going to be writing 60 news stories. It's going to be.
You can't win first place for writing most articles every month, Corey. Gosh, I used to hold that title.
I know. Sorry. But, and that's the other thing, too, is like I'm actually really anxious about the website because of like fair use stuff. It still scares me because of the images we use aren't our images, or we don't have, and I know David
we don't have a bang up.
But
we don't have a bang up art team.
And it's still like, it just, I don't know. I just, again, start thinking about it and I get super anxious about it to the point where like, I just don't look at it, And man, I don't know. Now that we're talking about a whole bunch of other stuff, now I have a whole new thing.
No. We're gonna guide you, Corey, to this is what I've been thinking, asking like, what have you been trying to do to cope with the anxiety? Not that you have time to do things to cope, but like other than just trying to push through it.
I haven't. I'm just like, So actually, the one thing I do, and this is going to sound really silly and stupid, but like when it's silent is when I'm the most anxious. I have to have something on in the background or, and so what I've been doing is like, I can't even sleep in my bed like right now because of how anxious and stuff I get at night. Like I'll wake up in the middle of the night, like sit up, and I don't want to scare like my son or my wife, and like I've been sleeping on the couch because of this. Like it's getting to that point where like I won't go to bed at night. I'll just sleep out on the couch. But what I've been doing to kind of like calm nerves or anxiety or whatever is I've been putting Disney World park walkthroughs on and just listening to the crowd noise and the music and the sounds of the theme parks, because like when I'm there is the one time that I'm not anxious about anything. You know? And I know that's really kind of silly to say at 35 years old, but like when I'm
not at all. I mean, that's the equivalent of a white noise machine.
Yeah.
Like, how is that really any different? Except you have a very positive correlation to like the Disney park sounds. So.
And so like it just like I kind of like lay there and close my eyes on the couch and think about all the fun and all the, you know, how happy that place makes me, because it really does. And like when I think about taking my daughter there this year for her first trip, is like I'm already planning it. It's not even until November, you know. Partially because Disney makes you plan everything 6 months in advance, but they really do. I tomorrow I have to make park reservations for November. I have to say, like,
wow.
Not only do I have to buy our tickets, well, we're buying our tickets, but when you buy tickets, you then have to make a park reservation on that ticket. So you have to tell Disney what days you're going to which parks. So
that is a lot. That's a lot of micromanaging.
It is. But you know,
how is that not stressing you out? Shit. I feel like go ahead.
It is, but it isn't, because we've been so many times that I know everything there. Like, you could blindfold me and I could probably navigate the parks. Like, that's how much I know those places.
My guy, like, I'm the person that when I have to fly somewhere, like, I usually don't sleep the night before, because I am always afraid I'm either going to sleep past the time that I need to be up, or I'm going to, or I spend that whole night. The main reason why I spend that whole night up is because I need to make sure I've packed everything I need.
Yeah, that's also a new fear I've developed within the last 5 years, is flying. Like, I used to fly all the time when I was.
I don't have a fear of flying. I have a fear of fucking up the flight.
No, I'm saying, for me, like, a new fear of mine in the last 5 years is flying, for some reason.
Oh God.
Yeah, I never used to have a fear of flying, and then all of a sudden now, like, I get physical, noticeable anxiety leading up to it.
The only thing I can say I have a fear of flying right now is because of the bullshit they did behind the fucking mask mandate with that. Because I was used to seeing people fighting, you know, like throwing punches and shit because like they had to wear a mask. Now I'm sitting here like, you know what, am I going to be attacked by somebody if I choose to keep wearing my mask? Because you know what, motherfuckers, you know, they're fucking snowflakes, you know, and it doesn't matter which way it goes. Like, you know, like, oh, we're a snowflake if we want to be woke, but y'all are snowflakes because y'all follow a big fucking lie, you know, and stuff like that, you know. Yeah. So you know, in my opinion, who's the worst off snowflake?
Well, and sorry to like build off of that, but honestly, I would be more okay with it if people learned hygiene. You would think after this entire pandemic, we would now be more educated, even though washing hands really isn't anything new. Like, this would improve. People are still the same disgusting fucking things.
Yeah.
And it's because of, like, see, this is why we keep spreading this motherfucking virus over and over again.
That's why it sounds like it's 8th iteration.
Sorry, so yeah,
but these are the same people. These are the same people that didn't even want to like hug somebody that's HIV positive, you know.
Yeah, and like earlier we were like on the Boss Rush podcast, we were answered that question about Shane's friend in the house burning down, and like that his friend is gonna have some long-term kind of like
some PTSD. Oh my God!
Like, because when my apartment burned down, like I still like when if something is in the toaster and I'm not in the same room and I smell it, I'll get anxiety. It's that bad. And like I thought I was over it, and then certain days I'll smell it and I will just like crumble.
Just comes right back to you again. Yeah.
And you know, I just I don't know how to fix any of this.
I read something interesting, like trauma actually affects our very DNA.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I read that, and when I read the science behind it, I was like, you know what, it does make sense because like everything that's done to our bodies physically, like messes with our DNA structure.
Mm-hmm.
So why wouldn't emotional stuff also like mess with it? Like our DNA is basically who we are and stuff like that. So like for example, like you have like your favorite pet in the world, you saw it get hit by a car or something, or you had to witness it live its life and like die of some debilitating cancer and stuff like that. Why wouldn't that affect you on some existential level,
Yeah,
things like
losing your home to a fire and then losing pets too, like actual
yeah.
lives. That's life altering, and that'll stay with you. It'll stay with you.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like the problem, the crazy part is like I don't even know how I deal with my own anxiety and stress because I feel like I feel like my day to day is a high stress, and the crazy part is that like if if you look at me in my day to day life, you will be like, what's he so stressed about? But that's the problem. Like I'm stressed about stuff that I don't that like I know in my brain I should not be all that stressed about, because I can't control everything that happens to me. I can kind of like corral it and stuff like that, but you can't control it. So why do you stress out about it?
Can I
Things
ask
like
you something, LeRon?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that you were in a different kind of section of the military, but like, did that training kind of like teach you how to like be more mentally stronger than most people? Just because
No,
you know what I mean?
not really, because apparently it's given that May is currently suicide awareness month, and like a majority of like a big majority of the suicides are happen to like veterans and active duty servicemen and stuff like that. um I'm gonna say no, because in all honesty, like I joined the military at a time when the military was changing. It was supposed to be a kinder, gentler military, but they still didn't teach us how to deal with our fucking feelings. And in all honesty, they still don't teach the servicemen and the active duty, the retired, the discharged, how to deal with it.
Yeah.
Now. Um, I I think I just have a good compartment, a good penchant for compartmentalizing that stuff, for compartmentalization. Yeah, I think I just have a better capacity for it. But the problem is that it's one of those things. Remember what was the movie? Oh, uh, recently I saw the movie Doctor Sleep. Good movie, by the way. It's not so much a horror movie, but it's a suspense movie. So but Ewan McGregor's in the movie. Um, and when he's basically playing the grown-up version of the child from The Shining. And the way he coped with that trauma was that he would find something. Well, he also had a power. It's called The Shining. That's what the movie series is about. But whenever was dealing with something that traumatized him or followed him, he would lock it away in a box in his mind. The only problem is, okay, so I do that. I compartmentalize stuff. I don't do it on that level. You know what I mean? But I compartmentalize stuff. But at the same time, it's like you have all this stuff behind this door, and now it's banging on the door trying to get out. and that's how I feel sometimes. It's insane. Like I said, like I'm not. I don't live in a life. I don't live in a life of trauma. Like I said earlier, like I've been racially profiled, but it's never gotten to the point where like I've been physically harmed by people who are supposed to protect us. I've never been outwardly like been the victim of a racial attack, or even a hate crime or stuff like that. What hate crime? Because I'm black. Hate crime because I'm LGBT. You know. Uh But at the same time, like I live with the fear that this shit can happen to me, and it's one of those things like, how do you I I I'm asking how do you, but because I really don't know what's the way to like live with it, because oh, here's another thing too, like for the longest time, and Corey, I know you're gonna definitely empathize with this when I say it. As 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 a man, like one of the things is like you always gotta be strong. Like, you can't be emotional, showing emotion is a sign of weakness and all this stuff. And for the longest fucking time in my life, like I'm 46 years old right now. For the longest fucking time in my life, like I live by that. Don't let them see you sweat. You know, don't even if something like rattles you to your core, don't let nobody else know that happens because like they'll weaponize it and they'll use it against you and stuff like that. And then one day it was after my last relationship, like it was a breakup. I got dumped and everything, and within within minutes, like that whole facade of like, like be strong, don't be emotional, stuff like that. It just like it was destroyed and stuff like that. And I noticed from that point on in that relationship, it's been over 4 years. Since that day, I can't keep my emotions in check anymore. Like I can't. Like if something's making me sad, like you're gonna see a physical manifestation of me being sad. If I'm angry, like yeah, like you're gonna see it and stuff like that. I can't control my emotions anymore. And I don't understand how I lost. It's like how did I drop the leash on this dog and now it's running loose through the city,
Mm-hmm.
just tearing everything up in its wake. How'd that happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the sad part, and the part is, it scares me because, like, for my entire life before that point, all I've known is that one thing, and now it's like it's uncharted territory, and I'm closer to 50 than I am to 15 now. Like, I feel like I should have been able to known how to deal with this now.
Yeah.
I need therapy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I need some of that that's on Stephanie's shirt. I need some Jameson right now.
Wow.
Therapy's tough though, man, because I've been through a few, like either therapists or whatever. Well, first of all, I don't know if it's like high demand, low volume, but basically it's hard to find therapists that are taking new patients. There's the issue of insurance coverage, and then there's also finding the right therapist because it's a compatibility thing too, and what kind of therapy you need, and making time for therapy and stuff like that. I've been in therapy for many, many years, since I got to college and I was out of my parents' hands. I love my parents, but they just don't believe in therapy. And I've kind of cycled through some, and there are times where I felt like I'm just bitching to this person about my day. Like, is this really helping me?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I do question if it's helpful, but overall, like it's nice to, have this safe space, so to speak, especially after my assault. That was kind of what really broke me as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Certain things, like I just real quick, going back to like physical manifestations of traumas, like my memory, it has actually been impacted by that. Like my recall is dog shit.
Oh.
And it's hard to explain to people, like, oh, you're a young spring chicken, what do you mean you can't remember what happened like a week ago? And I'm not going to tell every single person, like, oh, well, a couple of years ago I was sexually assaulted and now my brain just doesn't like it. Just
it doesn't like holding on to shit.
Yeah, it is, unless it's like a thing I absolutely need to know, and I repeat it 50 times. It goes in, and not that I'm not listening at the time, but just you're right. Like, it cannot hold on to something. And
Well, yeah, and that's the sad part is that's a coping mechanism. Believe it or not, like stuff that, stuff that is major or life changing now. It's like it's like your brain is trying to like cope with that stuff to the point where like the minutia of the things that happen to you on a daily, just slip right by you.
Yeah. So it's incredible how our bodies, our mind,
Mm-hmm.
tries to deal with what's being thrown at it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there isn't like a one size fits all on how to deal.
I would actually go through hypnosis therapy if I believed it worked. I don't really have a belief that it works, like not on the level that like we see on like TV shows and movies and stuff, like where like people have been hypnotized and become like an absolutely different person. I don't believe in that, but but I also know that the power of suggestion is something that is viable. Like it can help people, but I think for some of the stuff that I have going on, like I need something a little bit more precise than that. You know, just something to help me. That's just like not like for example, a typical day for me, like usually because the way my brain is, like I'm usually up by like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. It doesn't mean I'm actually up on my feet, but usually means
Right.
I've woken up. And so like my day, if we're not including like podcast days, my day usually runs from about 7 a.m. to about 11 p.m., maybe 12 a.m. again, and stuff like that. So that's a lot of waking time that I'm there, right? And then if you think about all that, if you think out of all those hours, right, there's probably a good hour or two of where just random stuff like happen, like comes into my brain that, like is just telling of something. What, I'm procrastinating because something's got me agitated, or there's literally something going, like I said, the whole thing about like randomly getting hit by a car, stuff like stuff like that, like it's a small chunk of time in my waking time, but it takes up a big space, in my head.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that, because you wanted to talk about a way that you not manage, but like how you deal when you're anxious is that you procrastinate. That's your coping. Well, I don't know if you want to call it coping with.
That honestly, I feel like it is because like, okay, like you guys are probably gonna hate me when I say this, but the three of us, like we're in like different Discord groups together. We're in at least two different group chats, for text messaging and stuff like that. And there are some times when this phone goes off and it's a text message, I am dreading looking at it. And it's and like it and the sad part is like I'm dreading looking at it, and it's not so much because like like I'm being held accountable for something. It's one of those, I don't know what I'm about to see when I open it up. you know and like I said, it's no offense to you guys, because it's not just y'all's text messages, or it's not just y'all's phone calls and stuff like that. If this phone goes off and I'm not prepared for it, like I'm like, what the fuck? you know and it's insane. I don't I, so sometimes I actually put off like looking at my notifications, which is funny because people tell me like, you're always on your phone. Like, no the fuck I'm not, because I can tell you when I am definitely not on that damn phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we're to that point, we're in so many like group messages across like multiple different platforms that like, for us, earlier today I was just like, you know what, I've muted all Discord notifications, I've muted all Twitter notifications, and I've muted all Facebook messaging notifications on my phone, because so many people are messaging, and about 90% of the time it's not for me. And so I was like,
yeah.
The quickest way to get a hold of you guys is to text you now, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
that's
And actually, you know what? We're not going to talk about it tonight, but like I woke up yesterday's morning to the whole bullshit about the Supreme Court, and that sent me on a tailspin. And the crazy part is like I'm not the actual demographic that this whole thing affects. Like, yeah, I can be affected by what's going on with the Supreme Court, but not on the level that it's actually going to affect people. That's the only thing I'm going to say about it, because we're actually going to save that topic for next time.
Well, I find it interesting that you kind of procrastinate and avoid notifications, stuff like that. For me, it's kind of it's the opposite. Like, if there's a possibility something's going wrong, like, I need to know, tell me right now, and I want to solve it immediately, which is a big problem because 99% of the time you cannot do those things. Like, when someone says, hey, do you have free time? I'd like to talk to you later. And that's like the worst thing you could do to me. Because I'm like, what the fuck you need to tell me? Why can't you tell me now? Just tell me the fuck now. What happened?
Yeah. And it doesn't matter. It can be like, oh, it's nothing bad. You know, it'd be like, I just want to talk to you later about something. And it's like, I'm like, you might as well just tell me the whole world's coming to a fucking end. You know, like it's not gonna change the anxiety level. The fact that you need to talk to me later.
Yeah. Oh, good times.
It's not that the state of the world is, helping, right?
See that too. Like y'all have kids. How'd y'all do it?
Well, LeRon, let me tell you.
No. I don't need the anatomy lesson. I meant you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Like, I mean, look at all the bullshit that's happening right now in the world. Like, we got people that are going crazy with the laws of our land and stuff like that. We got people who are fucking setting the world on fire by just being negligent about shit. We have a fucking country invading another sovereign state just because they can. Thank God they're not winning, but just because they can, they're doing it, and stuff like that. We have so much shit going on, and it's like, man, like,
I know
I'm happy that you guys are actually able to, like, want to pass your genes along, because it scares me sometimes.
Well, mine was not on purpose passing along of the genes, but because I made the choice to go through with it. I know this is kind of like selling yourself a lie type scenario, but every time that anxiety rears its ugly head, like, oh my gosh, I gave birth to this amazing child and he has to grow up to a world that's probably worse, and who knows, the world might end tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. I try to, like, tell myself, the world's been burning since, what's Billy Joel's lyrics? World's been burning.
The world's been burning since. Yeah.
Right, and I mean, like.
Oh, the fire has been burning since the world was turning.
Right, and like obviously it's more dangerous now because I feel like the tools we have are much more destructive and whatever. Yeah. But I still tell myself, like, you know what? There's just, depending on the decade, depending on the generation, shit's been going on, and that's kind of like what I use to quote unquote comfort myself the best way possible when I think about my son growing up.
You know what's crazy though? Like that hopeless optimist in me is thinking that possibly one of y'all's children are going to be the people that fucking fix it.
I hope so. I know it ain't me. I
feel like that ship has passed for me. Like I said, I'm closer to 50 than I am to 15. So like I feel like that ship. I mean, I'm not saying that I can't make a change, in the world or whatnot, but I don't know. Like I feel like when you look at my skin color and stuff like that, the change I could make is probably as a fucking martyr, and that's also scary.
Yeah, I don't know. Unless world changing involves peanut butter, I don't see my daughter really, changing the world. No, I'm just kidding. She can do it. She can do it.
Hey, your daughter could be the next Greta Thunberg or RBG or who else we got? Shit, we have a lot. Hell, like shit, like I know people look at her as the enemy, but she might be the next Hillary Clinton. Who knows?
I feel like my son's going to be like the next Greta, except hopefully he'll smile a bit more. But he's always like schooling me about the environment, and I'm fostering it, obviously. Like, I'm the one that's putting it in his mind, but like he's like really anal about it. He's like, the world's not going to be here. We're all going to die if we don't take care of the planet. And I'm like, true. I didn't really speak like that as a kid, but true. So I'm glad you're doing that.
I'm glad you mentioned that because okay, so I think I told you guys back on the very first episode of After Dark that my boyfriend and I started watching this show called In Treatment, and it basically follows like the day-to-day of a psychologist, psychiatrist. I think I'm gonna call it psychologist, and it tracks her with three different patients. And then there's one episode a week. There's one episode of those weeks that's dedicated to her, because like every therapist apparently has their own therapist that they have to like talk to like get all this stuff like sorted out. Um, so she has a patient, and now this patient is a millennial, and like man, like one of the episodes, like she unloaded on like all the previous generations, like Gen Y, Gen Z, Gen X, which is me, boomers and all that stuff. And man, this character said some shit that triggered the fuck out of me, to where like if I hear her say another thing, I'm done watching this show. Um, because she said that Gen X sat there and did nothing, and like it basically ran over generations Y and Z and stuff like that, and it's like, no, like Gen X didn't like sit back and do nothing. Gen X did what the boomers told us, which was like, do this, get this done, like the world's going to be a wonderful place for you and stuff like that. Go to college, do this, get promoted, all that stuff, like shit, and yeah, like I feel like Gen X is just as woke as Y, Z, and the millennials and stuff like that. It's just the fact that like we weren't as prepared as like these newer generations are about this stuff. The fact that your kid is telling you about stuff like this, yeah, like these kids now they've got their shit together, or I hope they do.
Which is great, but I'm not gonna let him like just bitch about every other generation before us. I'm like, let's just focus on
what
now.
you can do right now. Yeah. I went on a little tangent there, but yeah, like I don't know, like that's another thing I deal with.
Hey, anxiety comes in all ways, shapes, or forms. Corey mentioned the mortality thing. Dude, I've been thinking about death a lot, and I'm like, I don't know if I have grasp or really, I don't know. I'm not okay with the thought of, what's really funny? The thing that gives me the anxiety most about dying, for me personally, is what pain am I going to go through as I die? Am I going to have a slow, painful death? Or is it going to be quick and I won't see it? I don't know why. Maybe it's the like Final Destination thing.
Oh, man. It's like, what is it? It's like that, which was the second Aladdin movie. You'd be surprised what you can live through.
Wow.
I don't know. Obviously, my life has taken on actual meaning now that I have a kid. I'm like, will I die before he is independent? And I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think about that all the time too. Is like, where would I be, or what would I be doing without my wife or my kids? It's like, I don't know. It's scary to think about, but like, before them, I thought about things a lot, like not being here, like, I don't know. It's just, yeah.
One thing I want to practice to help with my anxiety, and I have to frame it in this way because I would never be able to have the right to tell you guys to try it if I can't even master it, is mindfulness. Because apparently that's a really great way to, like, a great tool for anxiety, but I struggle with stuff like mindfulness and meditation a lot. I struggle heavily.
Yeah. Do either of you just like cry sometimes?
Yeah.
I cry at some really inopportune times. And the sad part is I'm not even crying. Sometimes I cry for shit that doesn't even affect me. Like, like it's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. And it's another one of those situations where when I catch myself doing it, I'm like, why the fuck am I doing this? And like, when did I become this person? Like, it goes back to like the whole, like, I've always been able to keep my emotions in check, and now I can't,
That dam is broken, my friend.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see the scary part about that is now I buy into that whole like somebody will weaponize it against me. Like somebody would be like, "Oh, you remember that time you were being a little bitch because you saw a cat cross the street and almost get hit?"
Right.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, it's why, I mean, that's why I won't get a dog. Because I know there's an expiration date on it, and just thinking about that makes me sad,
Yeah.
and I don't
Yeah.
want to go through it again. My wife's cat, on the other hand, it's still alive.
I know I'm obviously not a man, but my dad raised me. I don't know if it's like a martial arts thing. I don't know, to suck it up and be tough.
Mhm.
So I did get kind of, in a sense, I kind of like it, like it's wasn't specific to gender, I guess. Just not that it was a good thing. Yeah, just suck it up, be tough. Don't wear your emotions on your sleeve. Don't be weak. I think it was kind of like trying to prevent the stereotypical cis female. Like, don't be like those whiny, crybaby, sissy girls. Like, be tough.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
in one hand, like, I appreciate it. Perhaps he pushed it a little too far sometimes. I do appreciate it. But I started crying a shit ton after I had my kid. I don't know if it's a hormone thing or a life change thing, because I've long since given birth. My hormones are settled and I still cry at a drop of a hat. But before that, couldn't cry, so I didn't cry. Probably the only time I ever cried pre-giving birth to my child was like when my Nana passed away and when Mufasa died on The Lion King, and that was it. But now I'm telling you, the thought of a sadness is just tears come out. But I do feel that, but I don't know about why not before, but I know that crying is a way for your body to physically release some sort of anguish that you're experiencing. So when I do cry now, with that education, I'm like, you know what? This is a process that your body goes through. So just let it happen. Mm-hmm. Maybe let it happen as quickly as possible and then just get over it. But the shitty part about crying is you feel so fucking exhausted when you're done.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So if anyone uses that against you guys, tell me, and I will drive over there and fucking shove a foot up that person's ass.
Thank you.
And then they'll be embarrassed because they got beaten up by a girl.
Yeah. So,
Corey, I hope you can find a means to cope, or either take a break or get. When I say get help, not like, dude, you need help. I meant like literal help. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, even like right now, I'm anxious of like, well, after this, like I have to like edit the shows and let them process overnight so I can upload them. Like that's literally the next. I'm not even like, I don't want to say I'm checked out of this show, but like I'm thinking about
the next thing,
and then the next thing, and then the next thing, and that gives me great anxiety as well, for some reason. There's always the next thing. There's no like, no.
Do you write out a to-do list?
I do.
Okay, never mind.
That's the one thing.
Daily.
That's the one thing I cannot seem to master. Like I know I have all these tasks to do, and I just never write a list. I guess if I see the list, then it just becomes even more daunting.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only reason why, because like I wake up in the morning, I know what I have to do. And so I go through the day, and then like I get into bed at night, and that moment you drift off to sleep, and then your eyes pop open, you're wide awake again because like, oh fuck, I forgot something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's me. But it's like, but now it's like the King Kong on top of the Empire State Building for me is actually having the list in front of me to do.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm at the point where like I don't really know what else to say about it. I don't tell anybody because I don't know. It's like not worth telling people sometimes about all this, and like this is just like a space where we kind of do talk about these things.
I hope it helps.
Yeah.
I mean, it does, but at the same time, it's like, well, is it helping? And I don't know, to be honest, if it is or not. But I guess just saying words and saying it out loud helps a little bit, you know. But
yeah,
at least you're in a safe space. We're not going to tell you, "Hey, man, shut up, stop complaining. Life could be worse," because we'll never say that.
Yeah, what type of asshole would I be? Not when I have my own shit that I'm dealing with. All right. Well, before we get to another level of expressing our feelings to where we have to start eating our feelings.
Oh gosh, don't get me started on that. That's how I cope, was eat.
That's me too. That's
emotional eating. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Same.
Yep.
All right. Well, everybody, this has been Boss Rush After Dark, the alternative podcast of the flagship show for the Boss Rush Network. We'd like to go ahead and thank you all for tuning in and listening to the show. Of course, all of our patrons, thank you. We appreciate you. We love you. Definitely do not take you guys for granted. Let's put it that way. Before we head out, here's how you can get in contact with and stay in touch with the crew. Stephanie, you're up first.
Thanks. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Klimov, KLIMOV_author. Articles on BossRush.net, Wednesday nights on the Boss Rush podcast, and on the Disney arm of Standard Definition.
All right. Corey.
You can find me at I am Corey in HD on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me hosting the Boss Rush podcast, Nintendo Power Block, Standard Definition, and of course right here.
All right. And I'm going to keep it short and sweet tonight. You can catch me. Just look me up everywhere that you can think I could be at. Exodus803. So social media, YouTube, Twitch, various different gaming sites, stuff like that. Just look for me there. All right. Come back and join us for our next installment of Boss Rush After Dark, where we will always be back with more topics that aren't always content appropriate for our other our other anchor shows. And as always, have a good night. Be safe out there. We love you. And give yourself your due diligence of self-care. It'll do you a world of good. Have a good night, everyone.